Hey guys, DMS3TV here. Today I have for you a review of the Beyerdynamic DT-990 Premiums. This is the 600 ohm version, and they're relatively interesting. Let's check them out. Now, this is not the first set of Beyers that I've reviewed, and actually this isn't the first iteration of the DT-990 I've reviewed. I did check out the 990 Pro a while back, actually close to the beginning of my time on YouTube, and I would say that my opinion of those has changed a bit over time, and especially as I've tried a lot more Beyers. And I think it's worth saying right off the bat that the 990 Premiums are very, very different from the 990 Pro. In fact, I would consider the 990 Premiums to actually be more professional than the 990 Pro. Now this comes from a few different things, but one of which being that the frequency response, now while it's not very different between the 990 Premium and the 990 Pro, does still sound different. Now that's a bit strange to hear, but it has to do with the impedance. But now that we've covered just that little bit so I can let you guys know there's a bit of a difference, I'm going to start my reviews like normal with the build. And these are built relatively well. Comfort-wise, I feel like they're lacking just a hair on top, but these are pretty affordable headphones, honestly, so I can't complain too much. They're really light, the pads are great, I love Beyer pads. They remind me a lot of Sennheiser pads, but I don't think that they wear out as bad as quickly. They're still very soft, very breathable, the headphones are extremely light, they're well built in most aspects. I feel like this connector right here is a little bit strange. Having to expand and contract the sides does feel a little bit weird. I don't think it's going to break anytime soon, but it doesn't hold very easily, so I kind of pull these up and pull it out and leave it on my head and it stays in place, but I feel like these could slip just like that. I'm also not sure what these are for, but I actually cut the crap out of my hand on one. So, Beyer, I don't know why you put these on here, but I don't think that they should be this sharp. Pretty much healed up now, but it kind of sucked. One complaint I do really have about the build besides these is that the cable is non-removable. Now, I do like that it's only on one side, which is nice for studio headphones, so you can just put them on your neck like this, you're doing something, you can just take them off real easy without getting caught on a cord. But I really wish this was detachable like the 1990s and the 1770s are. Now, with that said, it does have a nice stress relief on it, and I don't see it wearing out anytime soon, but if you have a pair of these, or if you're planning on getting some, I would highly recommend doing a detachable cable mod of some kind. Or at least just, if you're concerned about warranty, wait until the warranty is running out and then do your detachable cable mod. I actually don't know how long the warranty is on these. Now, some people will say you could put a pilot pad or something on here to improve the padding on top, but I actually have to extend these all the way out to make them fit on my ears. Now, I have kind of a big head. I do this with Sennheisers and several other things. If you don't have this problem, if you wear headphones on like a smaller setting, you could probably extend them out and put like an extra pad on top, but I personally can't. But that being said, while it does bother me a little bit, it really isn't that bad. I've had plenty of headphones that are significantly more uncomfortable, and I would put the Beyers that I've tried so far almost on par with my 650s. I'd put them right underneath that. Now that we've got that covered, let's talk about the sound. These are open back headphones, not very isolating. During measurements, I put these on a measurement rig that was an SPL reader and could essentially try and determine how much they're isolating out of the room. I got between 4 and 5 decibels on average of isolation. So, of course, they're open back. They're not very isolating. They're not really made to be isolating. So, I mean, you're not going to want to take these on the bus or anything like that. I mean, that being said, you'd have trouble powering 600 ohm headphones off a portable device most of the time anyway, unless you spend some money. But with the openness of these headphones comes phenomenal soundstage and laser sharp imaging. Like a lot of Beyers that I've tried recently, the 1990s and several others, the imaging on these is absolutely through the roof insane. I still to this day have not heard anything that can do imaging quite like a Beyerdynamic headphone can. And for that, they have a very interesting quality that keeps bringing me back, because these are not neutral headphones. The 990 Premium is elevated in treble and it is elevated in bass. They're very, very fun. I will give them that. While not accurate, I would consider them to be very, 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 very enjoyable headphones to listen to still, because the mid-range isn't recessed enough to lose all vocal clarity. Vocals are still pretty clear, and due to their high impedance, the high frequencies are actually extremely resolving compared to the 990 Pro. Now, they are still bright, but I don't find them in any way near as harsh. Like, if I was to gauge how sharp and how bright the highs are in comparison, these almost sound like 30 to 40% less bright, probably closer to 40% less bright than the 990 Pro. And these are in the same line. They measure almost identically, but because this pair is so much more resolving, the highs are not nearly as uncomfortable. And as a result, I found myself wanting to listen to them. I'd put these down, I'd listen to my 650s, I'd listen to whatever else I had around here, and the next day I would sit down at my desk and I would find myself wanting to put these back on, and wanting to listen to them, and wanting to explore my music with these headphones. A lot of songs, it sounded like I was rediscovering them because of how incredibly spot on the accuracy of the imaging was, and how incredibly detailed the highs are. So while they're not neutral, they are still a very enjoyable listening experience. This is almost a first for me, because very few times in the past have I truly, really enjoyed a headphone that was this colored. You look back at reviews of like the Fidelio X2, I did not like it at all because of how incredibly far off it was from neutral and how grainy it was. You look at things like the Focalalier, where some of the mids and highs just drop off into oblivion while others are just massive spikes. But this isn't neutral at all, yet it still sounds relatively balanced because of how resolving it is. And with that, I like it quite a bit. I'm going to reserve my opinion on the overall final which one is the best to get until I've heard the 600 ohm version of the DT-990, which is on its way here. You can't judge a headphone completely by its measurements, though they do definitely help. The 880 looks like it is more neutral than these. So I would say if you want something very fun with laser precision imaging, the 990 Premiums are a great way to go if you have an amp to drive the 600 ohm version, which is the version that I would recommend if you're going to pick one, is definitely the 600 ohm version. And it looks like the 880 will be more oriented towards someone who is looking for an objectively more accurate headphone. But we'll see when those get here. As of right now, I've been phenomenally impressed with many of the things that Beyerdynamic has sent my way. I wasn't as much of a fan of things like the DT-240 or the 990 Pro, but the 990 Premium and the Tesla T1, the 1990, all have been extremely enjoyable headphones to listen to, and I'm definitely at some point going to be getting a pair for myself, possibly as my secondary driver to my HD650s, maybe even sometimes as my main. If I had a set of 1990s of my own, I certainly would be using them as my main driver. But I think these would make a very worthy addition to have in a collection just because of how much fun they are without completely sacrificing resolution and detail. So guys, hope you really liked this video. If you did, please leave a like down below, and if you want to support the channel and get early access to my videos, consider clicking on the Patreon linked in the video description. But until the next video, guys, don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you then. Peace.